Welcome, everybody, to episode 77 of UnHacked. I'm Justin Shelley, CEO of Phoenix IT Advisors, and here at Phoenix IT, we help businesses use technology to make lots of money, and then we do all the work behind the scenes to make sure the bad guys don't come in and steal that money from you. And by bad guys, I mean the hackers, Russians, and otherwise. Listen, let's not be exclusive. But it doesn't stop there, because we have to protect you from the government fines and penalties if you don't comply with all the regulations out there. And then, of course, if you do something a little bit wrong, then the attorneys are going to come sniffing around and they're going to take whatever's left. So that's what we do, is we apply frameworks. We make sure that you're protected, and we keep you safe, keep you making money and keeping it. Mario, that's what I got. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
Yeah, Mario Zaki, CEO of Mastech IT, located in New Jersey. And we specialize in everything that Justin just said, but we also add peace of mind to it as well. I know he forgot that part. We help customers know that their company will be safe, secure, and be there the next day so they can sleep better at night.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, that sleep better at night thing, I'll be honest with you, Mario. It's overstated. It's a lot of people say it, but I can't tell you how much sleep I lose at night over this kind of stuff. This is not a comfortable industry that we're in. Just gonna say that right now.
No, I feel like we absorb the stress for our customers. We know our neck is on the line, so we need to make sure that every T is crossed, every I is dotted, and that we can, show value, for why they keep us around.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, and that comes up a lot, right? We do a lot of stuff that's invisible, and I think probably our hardest play is to show what's going on and what happens without it, right? Because on the surface, when you're just like, my computers work, why do I need you guys? You ever hear that one?
Oh yeah, all the time. Well, we barely call you guys.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Oh, we really don't call you very often. We don't need very much. It's like, you have no idea. You have no idea. So that is the point of this little kind of, maybe we're going to call it a season, maybe we're going to call it a mini series, but we have, I think it's 10 to 12 episodes where we're talking about baseline security. And this is the stuff that has to happen behind the scenes. It's not fun. It's not glorious. And you get almost no recognition for it. But I tell you what, if it's not in place, you're in big trouble. So we're going to dive in. Mario, last week we talked about people, right? Locking down people, identity protection. And today we're going to talk about the technology that people use. And it really comes down to, in a nutshell, you can't secure what you can't see. If you don't know that it used to be that we could just say if it's on your network. But now it's like, if it touches anything to do with your business and you don't know about it, you're potentially screwed. Right? I mean, in my off base there.
100%, yeah.
All right. So let's see. Where do we start? I've kind of already said it, and I know I said it last week. The real challenge that we face right now is that we used to have a network surrounded by a moat, like in our castle, right? And that was called our firewall. And you could lower the drawbridge, you could let people in, you could raise it back up. That was it. Security was pretty simple. Murray, give me a picture of, like, what does a security landscape look like right now?
Well, now you have your office, you have people working from home, you have people using company laptops, you have people using their own personal computers, the same computers that their kids are downloading movies and whatever else they're downloading on right now on their home computer. You have their cell phones, business cell phones, personal cell phones. You have your Microsoft tenant, and what connects to that Microsoft tenant or Google.
Yeah. I mean, we call it device sprawl. It just keeps getting bigger and expanding. I haven't heard it recently, but back in the day, and I am an old man, I would hear people say, we moved to the cloud, we're good. It's like, oh my God.
I still hear that. I heard that this morning. Oh yeah, we no longer have a server here, we moved to the cloud.
Yeah,
And then later, I'm like, which cloud? It's a
right.
fucking cloudy ass day. There's so many clouds out there.
Yeah, like define cloud. What does that mean anymore?
Yeah.
Uh,
People
crazy.
think just because it's not in their building, no matter if somewhere else, it's a cloud.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
guess they're right.
let's kind of give an example. There is. Are you familiar with the was it the CISA advisory? Government puts out a list of all the vulnerabilities that they've identified. Now, ideally, you've got somebody on your team who watches these and provides the fixes for stuff that
Yep.
we know about. This is the stuff we know about,
Yes.
or we can know about. It's documented. We aren't even going to talk about the stuff that's not documented or that's new. We call those 0-day exploits. Those are another issue. But we've got this never-ending, ever-expanding list of vulnerabilities that have been identified. One of them, Citrix. What do you know about Citrix, Mario?
I know it's a pain in the ass, to be honest.
Aren't they? And I'm way off topic, and I'm gonna display my ignorance here. Aren't they having like major company problems, like going out of business or something?
Yeah.
One of the virtual providers is like not doing great. I don't know. Anyways,
so for people that don't know what Citrix is, it's just a tool that you can remote desktop, use to remote desktop into a server either in your office or on one of those clouds.
Yeah. So there's a known vulnerability on them. And this is just to illustrate the problem. If you've got that on your system and you happen to know that there's an advisory out there that you need to patch the vulnerability, that's your best case scenario. But we've got two potential problems here. A, you don't know about this advisory, so get on that. But B, more importantly and more within our control really, is that we have to know that we have this product living on our network or living in our ecosystem somewhere. And that really is the problem we're talking about. We talk about it a lot, shadow IT, right? This is probably our biggest blind spot. Mario, tell everybody, since you're good with the layman terms, what is shadow IT? I know we've defined it before, but let's do it again.
I mean, I don't know what the exact definition is. It's a software that you have on there that you just don't know you have. Is that right?
I mean, basically, yeah. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Shadow IT refers to information technology systems deployed by departments other than the central IT department to bypass limitations and restrictions that have been imposed by central information systems. So they're defining it as like an intentional trying to get around security measures. I use it more generally than that, and I would just say it's anything that's being used by you or your people that IT/security doesn't know about, right? Because all we have to do to take it from shadow IT to normal, to okay, to protected, is we just have to document it. We just have to know about it, right? And put protections around it. So shadow IT is really just a break in process. Is that fair? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One of do you remember a few episodes ago, we've talked about, I believe it was a manufacturing plant that a vendor had left a remote access tool wide open that caused a huge breach. Mm-hmm. And this is something we hear about a lot, but now let's talk about how do we fix it? Okay, we've identified this problem a few times, but
no, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, so I want to take it on both from a technical front, and also as what should a CEO know and how should they be involved. So I want to hit it both ways, and let's start from the CEO's perspective. All right, I'm just Justin, know nothing about IT, but I own a business, and I don't want to get robbed blind by either the Russian hackers or the government, or also the attorneys. So what do I need to know, Mario, about my technology?
You need to know that you're in bed or in partnership with a company that is looking, that has your best interests, upward, in front of everything else, right?
Yeah.
So you need to know that your MSP, A, keeps an eye on this stuff, and B, as soon as it comes up, they will either bring it up to you, or we like to just stop it in its tracks, and then and take names later. So I'll give you an example. A few months ago, we've discovered there was a vulnerability with a I forgot which remote access tool is used in this, and this tool it's used a lot for like third-party vendors, like your ERP company that you're using that's web-based. They're if you're having a problem, they need to remote into your computer, but they don't want to keep a remote management tool on your computer at all times, but sometimes they do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they will set it up. Okay, well, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. I'll leave my software on your computer. So we found out that there was a vulnerability with the system. So when we were alerted, that day, we went on and we were able to pull up our, asset management, our inventory management for all our customers all at one point, and we said, show us any computer that has this software installed on. And once we have identified it, we sent out just a quick script, uninstall off any computer. Now, granted, it wasn't much, that there was out there, but there was like some random ones, and we killed it. TeamViewer is a very big one. I actually had a meeting with a prospect yesterday, and while we were sitting in the conference room, the TV is right on there. We were talking. They had a question. I'm like, let me find out. And I took the mouse and I clicked on it, and TeamViewer was right there. I opened it up. I opened it up and it was there was nothing logged in. There wasn't any hidden passwords or anything. It was just out of the box. You saw the username and you saw the password. I'm like, anybody can just log into this computer by just knowing this number, which, by the way, never changes.
Yeah.
And this password that for some reason is always all lowercase and only one or two numbers. You don't have to authenticate to a website to use TeamViewer. You can just download from their downloads page. Once you have that number, you enter the password, you're in. You're literally in their network right then and there. You even have an option to black out the screen so that the person, in the conference room doesn't see that somebody's logged in. That is a long-winded answer to what you're asking.
And it's a perfect example. And here's the challenge that I see, and I've got both hats on, right? I've got my CEO hat on, and I also have my CIO hat, my Chief Information Officer hat, and I'm looking at technology, and again, breaking it into two pieces. As a CEO, how in the hell am I supposed to keep track of what is installed on every device throughout my entire organization? I don't have an answer to that for you, Mario, other than I would just say, like, you better have a good relationship with your IT company or your internal, whoever it is, and you better find a way to hold them accountable and make sure that they're doing it. Now, let's switch to that poor guy whose job it is to keep track of this. And I'm going to tell you, even with all the tools that we have, this is still a challenging job. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
There's nothing easy about this. If I pulled the asset or the software inventory on any one computer in my system that I manage, it's hundreds, right? I mean, the things that are installed that show up, and I should do this in real time. Let me just go in here. Software. Will it give me a number? 1 through 150. And then I think there's more pages, so it's like,
yeah,
that's what we're looking at. And I've got a tool that's very proficient at this. CEOs don't have that.
No.
And maybe their internal IT people do if they have internal IT. And
rare
the reality
have that.
Well, and let's just look behind the scenes. The reality of this is IT, anything, internal or MSP or whatever, we're busy. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We're watching all kinds of things. And it is tough to keep track of, hey, is there a TeamViewer just happened to broadcast, that somebody forgot to uninstall? I will tell you that as AI becomes more of a tool in our space, it helps a lot, because now we can actually take that inventory and we can either automate it or we can manually do it on occasion, and we can dump that into AI, and we can just say, hey, filter through this and find everything that's suspicious, and it'll actually do a decent job. It's not perfect, but it'll do a decent job of saying, hey, found this. These are the cases where it would be useful, and these are the cases where you probably should get rid of it.
Well, the one thing too I want to add on to that, Justin, is if it's a vulnerability with a certain version. So, for example, Mozilla Firefox is a very notorious one for releasing several different versions, like almost on a daily basis, right? So it could, when there's a vulnerability, they release a new update. So it can be like version 11.5.16.1. Then the next day it will be 0.2, 0.3, whatever. But 0.1 could have had a vulnerability. And sometimes, in a lot of cases, when you update, it adds an additional software to your computer, not remove the old one. So that vulnerability can still be in there. So you can go into a computer and see, yes, I have Mozilla Firefox, but you also have like 5 versions of it.
Right.
So that's where those 150 per page that you see is, a lot of it will be, things that kind of need to be cleaned up, or different versions, or like Apple, if you're managing an Apple device, every Apple built-in software will be listed in there. You'll see like Apple FaceTime, Apple Messages, Apple this, Apple that with the version. Windows, you'll see Microsoft Office this, they'll have it in Spanish, they'll have it in English, and so there's different versions, that you will not know that it's really there unless you have a remote management software installed.
Right. Yeah. This, as much as I would like to say, hey, here's how to keep an eye on this yourself, I will tell you that with all the tools we have, I've already said this, I'm going to say it again, it is a massive challenge, even with all the tools and the automation that we have. This is definitely not something that, as a normal CEO, a non-technical CEO, you're going to be able to handle. I will say that it still falls on your plate, and you still better have an internal process around making sure that your IT guy has a process around it, right? Like there are questions that you can ask them to make sure that this is being taken care of. But that's right now, we're just talking about software, right? This is just the software on the machine, installed on the machines that we know about. And so now that introduces another problem. If we can barely keep track of what's going on with the machines we know about, now we introduce machines we don't know about. Has that ever been a problem on your side?
Absolutely. Excuse me.
You got the allergies going on like I do, huh?
yeah, it's been crazy. It's what you know about, and we tell people all the time, like, these are the computers that we know about. Is there any more that you do not know about? Sometimes you have to also use like common logic too. If they have on their Microsoft 365, if they have like 20 email addresses, but you're only managing like 17 computers, like, okay, seems like there may be 3 missing. Are you aware of 3 missing? Oh yeah, Amy works from home. She got a new computer like 2 months ago. We must have forgotten to tell you guys.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear about that?
Well, the one I find a lot when we're looking into a new relationship with a new client, and I will ask them up front, because our pricing is based on device to some extent. So I'm like, hey, how many computers do you have? And sometimes I'll get an answer like about 15. All right, cool. Next step is for us to come in and do our inventory, and I will go through physically and identify every machine in the building, and I'll come back with something like 35. Like it's not even just a few more; it's more than double. So it just becomes super important as a business owner to know what it is that you have to protect. That does fall, unfortunately, on the business itself, because if the business doesn't know about it, damn near impossible for IT to know about it, especially if it's a remote service provider. If it's in-house IT, maybe you can put that more on their shoulders. But you really do have to lock down this part of the relationship really before we can go anywhere with security at all.
Yeah.
Because Mario, let's talk about the danger of, and Microsoft did some research on this. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but basically this is a big problem, especially in the world of ransomware, is unidentified and unprotected endpoints, workstations. So you've got a computer sitting there that it's turned on but nobody's using it. So we're not going to put it on contract. But maybe it's broadcasting its TeamViewer presence to the world. And now somebody gets in. And Mario, if I get into one of your unmonitored workstations in your network and I'm smart enough, what can I do? What kind of damage can I do?
A lot.
Yeah.
You'll have the full keys, key to the castle. You'll be, we sit there and we talk about layers, protecting with a firewall, protecting with an antivirus, and protecting with patching and stuff like that. But if you have somebody that's literally being able to come through the back door, then you don't care. No matter what locks you put on the windows or what lock you put on the front door and the alarm and stuff like that, if you have a vulnerability, you're only as strong as that weakest link.
Right.
And I tell that to people all the time. Like we don't sit there and have too many rules. But one rule we have is every computer needs to be protected.
Right.
Even if that computer is used once a week or when an intern comes in every once in a while to do whatever, that computer needs to be, monitored, secured, managed, and protected.
Yeah. Just kind of popping into my brain, one of the challenges that I've dealt with recently here is even if I know about a computer and I know it needs to be protected, and I've got a client that for whatever reason either can't or won't update to a modern operating system. God, now we're faced with a case where at least we know the situation, we know the vulnerability or the risk, but it's an exposure that's not closed. Exactly. Windows 10 right now is a very common one, and it was a problem already. And now we've got I just read the other day that hard drives for the entire year of 26 are sold out. I don't know how true it is. I haven't looked into this, but this has been an ongoing theme that hard drives and memory are becoming very difficult to get and very expensive if you do get them. And so we're dealing with already some resistance to upgrade to a new operating system. And now we've got possibly we can't do it. We're faced with a situation where it isn't even an option anymore if action wasn't taken fast enough. Not good. Let's talk about, I think you mentioned this, where, you've got maybe somebody working on a personal computer and they're accessing corporate resources. Maybe it's their cloud software, that shouldn't be a problem. Why is that a problem? Tell me about that.
Well, because again, you can't control anything that's not in front of you, right? We can't, we don't know what that person is using, what information is running on their computer. Maybe if they're logging into a website, you're like, okay, they're, somewhat safe. But what about those people that want to, set up a VPN connection, because they work from home 3 days a week and they want to set up a VPN connection to get into their office computer? Well, when they set up a VPN connection, that is exactly like having a computer in your office. Okay. If that computer is, not protected, not managed, no antivirus, or there's some crap on it, that the second they click connect on that VPN, they have now exposed that issue to every computer in your office. And they're, like I said earlier, they're already bypassed layer 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right. Yeah, using an unprotected, unsecured home computer that we don't want to pay the extra money to protect, to support. Understandably, by the way, and I'm not trying to be an ass about this. We all have to watch the pennies. And so because of that, it introduces this problem of, yeah, it's great. I can work from home. I've got a computer. My company doesn't have to buy it for me. That's kind of how I sold the idea of working from home. Now I do have to get back into the company either through a VPN, like you said, which opens up all kinds of exposure, or I'm just logging straight into, it's software as a service, SaaS or whatever we call it, cloud, online, whatever. It's all the same thing. And here, let me throw this one at you, Mario. I'm working from home on my personal computer. It's unprotected, but it's fine because I'm just logging into, I don't know, Salesforce or QuickBooks Online or whatever, and they have their systems protected, so it doesn't really matter how I get to it. True or false?
False.
Okay.
False. I mean, it's not 100% false. Like there are some things that is
Right.
better, right?
There is a reasonable expectation that they are protecting our data.
Yes.
To an extent. And here's what I always tell people. If you can get to your data, so can the bad guy.
Yes.
So you're working on an unprotected computer and you're on QuickBooks, you're on Salesforce, you're whatever your CRM is, you're doing all this stuff, you're passing corporate secrets back and forth, and the bad guy's just sitting there watching you because your computer's not protected. And then maybe he just you step away for a second, you leave it logged in, he goes in and he pulls all your data out. Now it's that's how ransomware is being done. If you can't encrypt the data itself, you just pull it out and threaten to sell it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And the thing is, it can be something as simple as like a key logger.
Correct.
So a computer that is not protected, not managed. If there's a key logger installed on the home computer, the bad guys can now see when you go into a website what website you're going to, what email address you're putting in, what password, and if you put in the 2FA, more than one time, they've now figured out the algorithm.
Right.
So they will know what that next number is before it even appears on your cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you have a stranger into, say, your QuickBooks. Do with that information as you please. Would you want a stranger in your QuickBooks?
No, because inside of QuickBooks you can pay bills, you can transfer money, you can, you can set up a new vendor and pay them, and that vendor is the guy, our little Russian hacker that we love to talk about.
Yeah. You could easily. A lot of people will do. They can easily change banking information for an existing vendor right in there, and it's done. Or change an address for a vendor where you mail checks out to.
Right. I've mentioned the online assessment that we have, and I'm actually developing a new version of it that'll be a little bit better. But I asked the question of, let's for example say, hey, do you have a current inventory system of all of your hardware and software that you know for sure is up to date? Right. The answers are yes, no, or I don't know. And yes is great, no is bad, I don't know is the absolute worst answer you can give. Yes. Right. If you don't know where this stuff is, you can't protect it. I'm just going to keep coming back to that. And yeah, I mean, if we're being really realistic, how many business owners really know and understand every piece of equipment that they are responsible for? I would argue that it's not very many.
I could argue the only person that may know is if he's the only employee. If the business owner is the only employee.
Solopreneurs, as they're called. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we haven't even talked about the mess that will come along with Microsoft. Every time you need to have something associated with your Microsoft, Zoom, HubSpot, all these different platforms that want to integrate into your Microsoft, when you click on it and then you sign in and then you scroll down, it says, do you want to allow this? Click continue. Now that has a direct association with your Microsoft.
It's getting messy.
There's less people that know about what they have associated with their Microsoft than what they have on their computers.
You're right. And there's a little overlap here because it brings us back to last week's episode where we talked more about Microsoft and identity in general. These two overlap, and it could almost be one process or one system, but it is just so critical to know and understand what you have, how it's being protected, and then what you just said. How do they all interoperate? It's a lot, Mario. So
Yeah.
let's kind of push to how, and we're going to